Happy days. Welcome everyone everywhere to the Elite Thinking Club. I'm Chris Jules Julian and I'm joined tonight by my co-host Michael and Liz. And
Hey,
hey, a special guest, Freya Faery. How you doing, Freya?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah. I'm amazing. I'm awesome. But I'm just so excited to have you on here because honestly, I found you on TikTok and you did a specific post about something so specific that it actually made me think and question something, which is what my podcast is all about, critical thinking. And I just had to have you on the show. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's, you're very, very welcome. And you're all the way from Canada, right? Why did I
Canada,
say
yeah.
California? I was thinking of you, Liz. Sorry. Yeah, all the way from Canada.
Yeah, Canada.
It's just amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Before we go any further though, guys, if you haven't done so already, hit the like, hit the subscribe button and follow us for future episodes because this podcast is dedicated to critical thinking. But what is critical thinking? Well, the Elite Thinking Club, a podcast dedicated to critical thinking is the analysis of facts to form a judgment. The subject is complex, which includes the rational, skeptical, and unbiased analysis or evaluation of factual evidence. Critical thinking is self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitored, and self-corrective thinking. It presupposes assent to rigorous standards of excellence and mindful command of their use. It entails effective communication, problem-solving abilities, as well as a commitment to overcome native egocentrism and sociocentrism. What does that mean? It basically means you cannot change anything unless you're willing to understand it, and you cannot understand it unless you're willing to explore it. A good debate doesn't get ugly. We talk about things that may make people feel vulnerable. Beliefs held sacred may be challenged because of life experiences, but we're not trying to make people wrong or to incite riot, but simply explore. So welcome to the Elite Thinking Club. And welcome, Michael, Liz, welcome, Freya Faery, all the way from Canada.
I think this is going to be my favorite one.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be my favorite. I think Freya is my favorite.
Yeah, already.
Yeah.
Yeah, too.
She's not even said anything yet.
I know. I'm drawn to her red hair, and you did have locks before, Freya. I see you had locks.
I still do. Yeah.
Look at that. Love it. I was just like, yo, this girl. And okay, so let me. Yeah, I'm gonna calm it down a bit because I get well excited when I get a guest on the show. I'm like, yo, got a special guest on the show. Let's take it back. Freya, welcome all the way from Canada. How's things? All right.
I mean, it's good. It's good. It's freezing, but good.
Yeah. How cold is it?
Like -30 right now.
That is cold.
Oh no.
That is really cold. So it's
That's
like
devastating.
Yeah,
Really.
keep low, avoid capture weather. You know what I mean? Just
Pretty
stay
much.
indoors. Hibernation weather.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, my spirit animal is a bear. So I only learned that from a shaman, and which actually just brings me straight into that question. Like, Freya, you would call yourself a shaman?
Yes. So in Canada, I don't know how it is in the UK, but with the pandemic and stuff, like my day job, I'm a hairstylist. So we would close down, like we had to close down 3 times. So every time we closed down, I would just do a shit ton of education. Sorry if I swear. So the last time we got locked down, I did a shaman course, and I've always kind of like resonated with a shaman, but it was actually like doing a course and like being certified to be like, okay, like I'm legit instead of just saying I'm a shaman, you know? So
Yeah, no, for real.
Good for you.
Yeah. So tell me, I visited a shamanic healer, right? So my shaman is quite local. She don't live too far, and I highly recommend her. If you wanted to, anyone interested in doing that, just do a bit of research about it. But the thing that I needed to do was get into my spiritual self and cut ties with some of my spiritual contracts with people. So I found myself in a vicious cycle of returning to the same places and the same spots and the same cycles of my life that were holding me back. But it wasn't my physical sense, like my 3-dimensional person. It was like emotional, spiritual connection with things. You know what I'm saying? So your soul body, if that makes sense. And I heard this and I was like, okay, let me look this up. But it is a thing, isn't it? Like, people have spirits, we have souls, and I can't explain it. I hope maybe you can, but it's like you just look at someone and you're connected. And it's like, you can't explain it. I hope maybe you can, but it's like you just look at someone and you're connected. And it's like you just look at someone and you're connected. And it's like you just look at someone and you're connected. And it's like you just look at someone and you're connected. And it's like you just look at someone and you're connected. It's like chemistry. It's like you can't explain it, but that's not you. That's not your physical. That's your soul. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Is that
and
fair
it's
to
kind of
say?
in with your soul contract, right? And that's why you get that like instant connection, because we all have past lives, right? So it's like, who's to say that you and I, we haven't known, like we've known each other in a past life, and that's why we have like this just spark of connection and stuff like that, because our souls know each other from lifetimes.
Yeah.
Wow. I reckon that's why we were like that, Jules.
Yeah, in a past life.
I reckon you were my twin in a past life.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I wonder what it is this life. Just podcast, isn't it? We had to just see. No, but it's not wrong because, okay, it's long story short, guys, I'm sorry, Freya, we're coming away from you, but we'll come back to you, a little tangent. When I met Liz, guys, for those that are just wondering, how did you actually meet Liz? Me and Michael together in the army, so everyone knows that. Past episodes, you knew that anyway, but me and Liz, we met each other about 3 years ago in a room full of like 100 different people, and everyone's doing what they were doing in Aunt Middleton's day camps, but I looked at Liz and she looked at me, and it was that same feeling. This is what I'm talking about. It's the soul connection. And people will be like, nah, this don't exist. And I'm like, that's because you have never had it yet. Plus, are you even open to it? You could be so distracted by the three-dimensional world and the capitalist system and all of that crap. And that's why I do the Elite Thinking Club, because I'm trying to help you really expand the mind here. Be open to this, because as soon as you are open to this, watch things start happening around you. It's almost like glitches in the Matrix. It's almost like you snap out of shit and you see it for what it really is, rather than the veil that's been pulled over. Do you know what I'm saying? So Freya, I wanted to ask you, because you spend a lot of time in the forest.
Yes.
Okay, so is that to get out of like the concrete jungle, if you will?
100%. Yeah. So I grew up in a small town, like the town I live in now, it's maybe like 5,000 people. Like it's not much. So I grew up here, and I always wanted to be in the big cities. I'm like, F this place, F small towns. So I lived around for like probably 10 years. And then just before the pandemic hit, I moved back into my small town in with my family. And I kind of gained a new appreciation for small town and just kind of being isolated and secluded. And in my town, we have like a river valley, and it's all just forestry. So I would just go by myself, and that's what I would do during the pandemic, during like the summer 2020, last summer, probably this summer. I just find you're able to just quiet the noise and just really ground yourself with Mother Nature and spirituality, and just kind of, I don't know, quiet. Like it's just making everything quiet and your brain quiet. It's a lot going on in the world.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that. I have a thing about the forest. I love trees. I'm a massive tree geek. I absolutely love trees. Total tree hugger. Proud, don't care. And I live right where I live. I'm surrounded by fields, and I walk across the field, and that's it. I'm in a forest, and there's a little stream through the forest. I spent a lot of time there during the pandemic, like in the fields and in the forest and at the beach. I love the beach. And I love being in the forest. I would happily have a cabin and live in the forest.
100% same.
As long as I've got a fire to keep me warm, I'll live in the forest.
Exactly.
Yeah, not minus 30.
No, in the summertime though.
Yeah.
For real.
So, but I always feel like I feel at peace in the forest, and I always feel like I belong there. I know that sounds really strange, but I've always felt that. I've always felt like I connect with the trees. I feel like I feel good when I'm there. I feel like the stillness is there, and it's really good for me. I would happily have a cabin in the forest, away from everything, and only go into the concrete jungle when I have to.
Yeah.
That's the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah.
You know how you know how in a sound works, right? It bounces off things, doesn't it? Sound. So in like a room, sound waves will bounce off the wall, hit back to the ears. There's no escape of those sound waves. The frequency or the volume just sort of turns down, doesn't it? But it's still bouncing. So when someone says like, can you feel the energy of the room? Let's say that there was a lot of like chaotic voices, like if there was an argument or a heated conversation, that sound is still bouncing around, and that's what kind of sometimes creates the energy. When you go in the forest or in the woods, because there's no roof, it kind of leaves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excuse the pun. I didn't even mean that.
You're more free, and you're just like, I don't know, you're more in touch with your higher self, I think, when you're in nature and connecting with nature.
I love
I think
that.
that's why I like it. I think that's why
Yeah.
I feel more me when I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned higher self, Freya. We're
Yeah.
talking to, like, you see my physical being, Liz's and Michael's and yours. We all see each other physically, but when you talked about higher self, I'll be honest with you. When I watched your YouTube video of you doing, was it like a spiritual dance? It's like, it's beautiful. By the way, guys,
I would
if you
just
want
call it like a flow sesh.
a flow sesh, if you
Yeah,
want to see this
that.
video, honestly, I put the link in the description. It is Freya. She does hooping. Is that the correct term?
Yeah.
And there was also
I did
like,
some fan movements with a
Yeah,
fan, and
yeah.
then just work with energy and an energy ball.
yeah, and honestly,
Yeah.
guys, it's like a
You are
5 minute.
amazing.
Yeah, honestly, I swear, it like
So
it,
good.
it fed my soul. I know that sounds cheesy, and I don't care because I know what I'm talking about, but it's enlightened me. Right, it was like, this is what I needed. It was like the charge I needed, and the music was beautiful. And yeah, guys, check it out, definitely, and then hit the subscribe button on Freya's channel as well. And also, you can see her on TikTok. Right, okay. I wanted to talk about the video I saw you on TikTok here, and what it was it opened in my mind a thought process of, how did I not know this, or how did I not see this before? And what I'm referencing is the one where you speak about the moon calendar rather than the sun calendar. Now, I'm UK and I'm Western. I'm not from China. I don't do Chinese New Year, all that stuff. And I'm not from the Aztecs, so I don't watch the Aztecs one. What was that one called? It ran out in 2012.
The Mayan calendar?
Yeah, the Mayan calendar. So we're going off of this 12 months a year, 30 days some months, 31 another month, 28 in a Feb, with 29 every 4. How confusing is that? It's mad, right? And I have said something like this before, but I didn't know that there was an alternative, and you nail it in your TikTok. So guys, follow Freya on TikTok if you want to learn more about spirituality, shaman, healing, and even just this in particular. Because it actually went quite viral, to be fair. It had over like,
It did, like it's my most viral like video. Like I'm actually shocked by it, but it's actually interesting to see like the comments, and like people are thinking the same. So it's kind of, I just nailed it there,
Amazing.
I guess.
Honestly, yeah, you have nailed it.
Yeah.
And what I'm talking about is how you highlighted that there is enough moon cycles in a 28-day period to create a calendar of 13 months.
Yeah.
So if we did go off of the moon rather than the Earth's rotation around the sun, we would actually have a perfect calendar of 13 months with 28 days each month.
Wow.
And then that got me thinking, yeah, Liz, honestly, after I watched the video, the TikTok, obviously I liked it, saved it, and I was like, wow. Then I obviously messaged you straight away. I was like, this girl. And then I said to myself, right, moon cycle, the tide is governed by the moon. We're obviously 85% water, roughly, give or take 10. And we're now governed by the moon. So possibly, if we had a calendar of 13 months with 28 days, we would all know full moon's coming. We're all going to go a bit crazy. Let's just like not work today. You know what I mean? We could just style it. We could make it work. And it just made me think about,
definitely affects us, the moon.
I'm not even letting you speak, Freya. Go ahead and speak. Sorry.
So like I am so in tune with the lunar cycle, and I always have been, but I guess it's been probably within the last 5 years I've actually paid attention to it. And I also do have a blog. So on my blog post, I talk about like each full moon and new moon and what sign they're in and what to expect, because it all depends on what type of sign the moon is in, right? So right now, today, it's a new moon in Aquarius. So we're going to be seeing a whole lot of different transformations and new beginnings. And especially like with my day job, I kind of see it, how it affects everyone too. Because like with this new moon, since it's in Aquarius, we're learning about like new beginnings and like transforming yourself and the new you, new year, new you, all of that. And like the amount of huge transformations I've had with people's hair, it just goes to show that the moon does affect people, but we're not aware of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and like, especially with the lunar cycle, and how it kind of dawned on me was just this past like Christmas and stuff. It didn't feel like Christmas to me. Like, and I've never
No,
really
it didn't
had
to
this
me
before.
either.
Yeah, and I never really
I've
had
been
this
feeling really
before. I was just like,
strange.
it doesn't feel like Christmas. It doesn't feel like the New Year. Like I
No.
just felt so off and weird.
Mhm.
And then I was just sitting in bed and I call them downloads. And it just dawned on me. I'm like, well, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And I'm like, well, Aries is spring. So why doesn't this make sense of where we start our year in spring when everything's blooming and the spring equinox? And then it
Oh
goes
my
for 13 months.
God. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh
That's what
So
I'm
it just
no.
kind
saying.
of it just kind of sparked it. And like I'm an Aries as well. So it's just I feel like I resonated with it more because it's my zodiac sign. And it was just I don't know, it blew my mind. And then it was just like, hey, make a TikTok about this. And I did, and then it blew up. And like I said, like a lot of people have been thinking the same thing. So it kind of goes back to the universal laws. So we have there's 12, but I actually did research to say that like there's 13 instead of 12. 13 universal law, and like one of the laws is law of one. So that means we're all connected. So the fact that I posted this and there's so many people that were like, I was just thinking this, or other people were making videos and this and that, I'm like, something's connected here.
I have so many friends that like we're all on a chat on WhatsApp, and we all talk about how the moon affects us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not the only one, because you do think you kind of feel like you're odd, because you know, and I do feel like the cycle does affect me. There's certain times when I'm more like with it and more happy,
Yeah.
and then there's certain times I'm like, why am I feeling like this?
Yeah,
And it's really
exactly.
strange. It's really
Yeah.
strange.
And then if you notice too, like when the moon is in the sign of a water sign, like you're a whole lot more emotional than you are if it's in like an air sign or an earth sign. But it's just people don't think about that, right? They're just like, I'm just emotional because of this. But really it's the moon, and the moon, I feel like our planets and earth and everything, it's a ecosystem, right? Like we're
Yeah.
all, it's all connected, right? So the moon is more or less like our emotions, and like the sun is more of like our ego sense and our day-to-day sense. That's why in the summer we're a lot more happier than we are like in the winter, because there's more sun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'm a sunshine girl, definitely.
Yeah.
We actually did an episode on star signs, didn't we, Michael, where you picked us?
I'm a Libra.
Yeah.
Libra, yeah.
He's not, he identifies
Oh.
identifies as Libra. He's actually a Scorpio. Is it a Scorpio?
Oh, okay.
And both Jules and I are Aquariuses.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
so yeah.
you
I love all
know,
of this stuff. I love it.
yeah, you know what? I've got a real love for it because it helps me explain things that I know. So I know that some people trust science and they don't trust spirituality. Yeah, Michael, for example, I know, and he's being real polite this episode. Michael, though, if you do think, nah, I don't believe in this, and say it, bro, because you know how we're like, it's fine. But you know, it is something to definitely think about, because I did question the calendar before. Didn't understand about the moon cycle thing. Didn't know that makes perfect sense, because it does now. You've explained it and I get it. 13 months, 28 days each. Why the fuck not? Like, why not? But
you said that thing about time as well, Jules. Do you remember you said about how like the we're not living right, and the whole concept of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like how
time
like
is just, it's a social
the sunset, the
construct.
sunrise, and all of
yes.
that.
Yeah. So
Huge.
basically, yeah. Okay. So my understanding of time is that what it does is it creates it's an illusion. Yeah, it's a construct of man. It's not real. It doesn't actually exist. You sometimes, right, I listen to a tempo of music, and because my frequency is vibing higher, like I'm vibrating higher, like energy wise, it slows it down. So I'm moving faster than the tempo of whatever music that was meant to be. And then sometimes when I'm feeling low and down, I need that tempo to bring me back up. So it's the concept of time. If you the further away from Earth you go, yeah, the less the watch works. Because it only works when it's on Earth. Like, it doesn't work out there. Do you know? So anyway, yeah, Liz, you're right on concept of time, and
Yeah.
thanks.
And that kind of goes in with the calendar and stuff, because I think people like they added it up and they're like, well, you're missing this X amount of days, but it's like, who's to say that there's 24 hours in a day though?
Yes, that's what Jules
yes.
would say. Yes,
That's what I was
we
saying.
had
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
that's what I say. Yeah, I said it in like a past
So-
episode. That's exactly
So
it.
like,
Yeah.
if I was given your details from somebody who knew you and they recommended I come see you, and I knew nothing about shaman and what it's about and what it would do for me, what would you, how would you tell and convey it to me?
What that is, mainly just healing the inner parts of yourself so you can live up to your full potential. Because I feel like it's what Chris said, it's kind of like a mixture between 3D and a 5D. So it's all on vibration, right? So it's like when you're in your feels and when you're not feeling well, you vibrate at a lower frequency. If you're able to heal and understand the inner parts of yourself as a spiritual level, you're able to raise your vibration so you can live on more of a 5D sense instead of a 3D sense.
Yeah,
that's kind of like
Okay.
how I would explain it.
Yeah.
And mainly it's just a lot of inner healing, like especially right now, like mental health is at an all-time high. And like in Canada for a while, it was even hard to even see like a therapist, right? So I kind of explain like shamanism and spiritual healing is like doing therapy on yourself. So you don't need to pay like $120 for an hour session with a therapist, which you can learn to do it yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, you would teach that person how to heal themselves, kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
to learn about themselves, because there's so much that you don't know about yourself that affects you, whether it's like your personality type or your like astrology signs, or like if you're living in more of a masculine or a feminine energy. And it's like, how are you supposed to heal and know if you're not educated on it? Like we weren't
for real.
And that's why probably some people feel very sort of all over the place, because they've got it all going on and the vibrations are all off and they kind of need to balance it out and level it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
What a great job to do, though. What a great thing to give to people.
Yeah.
Like, you're like an angel on earth.
Oh, thanks.
Love that.
Freya, I just want to expand on that with your observations. So you say like 3D, 5D and Canada as your home country, but like, can you tap into like a global energy? Can you feel like where we're shifting?
Yeah, 100%. I can feel more like on a collective standpoint, to where it's happening kind of all over the world. And like when I started my spiritual awakening, so like I would classify myself, I've always been spiritual. But I started my actual spiritual awakening in 2016. And I dove into this woman called Dolores Cannon. Have you guys heard about her?
I haven't.
No. So Dolores Cannon, she was an elder, and she would put people in a hypnosis to talk to their higher self. So she actually like predicted the pandemic. She predicted this great awakening. She predicted all of this.
Oh, I have heard of her. I have heard of her.
So like I did so much research and I just like resonated with her. And it's interesting because I was reading this stuff like years ago, and like now it's happening. And now because I've been able to do healing on myself, because I found like for the longest time, like I just felt anxious, or I felt depressed, or I felt this, or I felt that, but I didn't know if it was me or if it was someone else. Right. So like now I've been able to determine like what's me, what is someone close to me, and what's the collective. Because it's all energy that's kind of flowing through you. So you need to kind of ground yourself to be like, hey, what's actually going on here? And it was weird because like up to when the pandemic hit, so in Canada, it hit us like in the middle of March 2020, but I felt it.
Yeah, same.
I didn't know what it was. And I was living with a roommate at the time. And I was like, I need to move back to my hometown. And like, they didn't understand what I meant. I'm like, I just need to move. I don't know why, but I need to move. I moved in with my brother. 2 weeks later, the whole world shut down. Wow. So I'm like, that to me was just like, it blew my mind because I felt it, but I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know why. It was just a calling, was like, you need to move in with family now.
Yeah.
And like the fact that I moved and then 2 weeks later, the whole world shut down. I was like, okay, maybe I'm a little bit more powerful than I thought.
You got to trust that intuition. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been kind of interesting and just kind of seeing it on a global scale. And to just kind of like when you quiet your mind, you're able just to kind of feel things and see how things are kind of going. So to answer your question, yes, I can feel it on a global scale.
And also, like, I'm just highlighting as well that when you do reach this certain point of enlightenment, like, it's very hard to try and explain it to people who aren't open to it. It's almost like, it's almost like a language that people who have reached that level of enlightenment know. And it's so like when you see a spirit or a light worker, that's the best way to explain it. When you see a light worker, like yourself, we all come in different forms, right? Because we're all on here for a reason or other, and that's ultimately to uplift the energy of everyone. And there are people who are operating at a very low level, and that's mainly because they're still trapped in ego, caught up in the system. They're not snapping out of it, and they feel helpless. You know, if anything, they will defend the system. They're so for it that they don't realize there's so much more to us than just like robotic way of living. And then when you do reach the enlightenment, like for me personally, like I'll tell you a little story. I used to wear a lot of black clothing. I thought black was fashion. I didn't realize that subconsciously it was suppressing me, because really I'm a colorful being. I'm supposed to be expressive with color. I'm supposed to be, you know, now I realize that, but I felt so uncomfortable wearing that. It's almost like I based an identity on a lower frequency rather than accepting who I was inside and then beaming like the light I'm supposed to be. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's when, like, you know, I'll talk to you about my locks, because I know you got locks, and it's like when I learned that, I was like, oh man, this is me. This is part of me. This is growing from me. And then I'm being told to cut it off. Doesn't make sense. Like, you're not meant to cut yourself off. And then the deeper levels that you talked about, horoscopes, and then you talked about alignment, and then we spoke about connections, and then higher self and past lives. I was doing all that understanding, but you've got to be in a place of acceptance and openness to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm not even going to lie to you, Freya. When I was growing up, I was not hypnotized, but I was conditioned into seeing someone like yourself like a bit of a hippie. Little did I know. This is what I'm saying.
I want to be a hippie and I want to.
You know what I'm saying? Little did I know, I'm a flipping hippie. But it didn't fit with the narrative. It didn't fit with the, I don't know, like the social conditioning. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah.
Hippie
And I just
fairy
want to,
soul.
for real. Like, I just want to say,
Well, it's
like,
the same thing with sorry to cut you off. It's the same thing with locks. When I got my dreadlocks, I got them in 2016. Like when I started my spiritual awakening, it was like I got them, and now it's like, no, this is me. This is a part of me, and it's just it's interesting because a lot of people that I talk to that do get dreadlocks, it's more of a spiritual aspect.
just for real. Yeah, it's not the image thing. Like these are like they're like limbs. I can't cut them now. There's power in that shit. And,
I must admit, when I get my braids, I feel so, I don't know, I just feel powerful.
Yeah. There's power in that.
I just love it when I've got my braids. I really do. I feel completely different. I feel at home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get them.
I'm the same with a short hair. When I get my hair cut, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So on a spiritual one on that, not even joking, but when you do cut shed old skin, that is actually part of spirituality as well. So Michael, you probably do feel fresher because you're fresh again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so there's two options. You either go fresh or you store energy. It's one of the two. But you know what I mean? If you're storing the energy, you harness the energy. But if you're going fresh, then you're just starting fresh, if that makes sense. And there's pros to all of it, you know. That's spirituality. Wow.
And like when your hair is good, you feel good. So I've been a hairstylist for about 10 years. And the reason why I got into it is because I wanted, like, first of all, I love being creative, but then I wanted people to feel beautiful, right? But then it kind of got to the point in my career where it was like, well, you can feel pretty on the outside, but if you don't feel good on the inside, you're not going to like what's out on the outside. So then that's when I really started to harness more of like, well, I want to help heal people and feel good on the inside and the outside. So it's kind of interesting for me how both of my kind of careers go hand in hand.
I was going to say hand in hand. I got an ex-girlfriend and I swear now, still to this day, she had this power with her hands. So she's a beautician by trade, but she would also do like reflexology. She'd do like, Yeah, so reflexology is the feet. What else was she? She basically always used her hands. And I said to her, like from day dot, I said to her, "You're a healer." Like I don't know how else to explain that, but you're a healer. So, you know, whatever she's up to now, this is like flipping years ago. We're talking like 15 or something. But whatever, no, 10. But whatever she's up to now, I'm sure she's still shining her light. Like she's a light worker, but whatever her occupation, that's the way that she gives the light. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it probably is hand in hand. You working with people's hair, no doubt, during the session, you're giving the light. You're using your talent, but your occupation, but you're still doing your purpose, which is actually what I wanted to speak to you about. But you've already covered it. Purpose. You've reached a stage in your growth, your spirituality now. Do you actually know your purpose? Do you feel like you found it?
Yeah, 100%. Kind of like between last year, like no, 2020, 2021, I kind of really found my purpose. For a while there, I was just kind of up and down. I'm like, I don't know what the heck I want, but I think mainly my purpose is to help educate people. I've always been like a huge on education. Like I did hair, I would do all the hair courses. I went to business school. I learned all of that. I did marketing. Like education is kind of my thing. So that's why I kind of created a blog. So it's mainly just a source of information. Because when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I'm like searching up all these things. And like back in 2016, like there was a few things, but it's not as big as it is now. Like there wasn't TikTok or anything. So I kind of just want to create a huge source to where it's just there for life, to where people are going and searching up stuff in their spiritual awakening and all of that. And it's just all on one type of source thing.
Love that. Guys, if you want to check that out, the link is in the description to all of Freya's stuff.
You're going to go to that source.
Source.
So I've only had it not even a year yet, so it's still growing, but my end goal is just to have just a huge source of information just to help people and help them grow and help them heal. And I find too, like a lot of people have this like negative aspect on like spiritual life coaches and stuff because they think they want money. So that's why I'm like, I just want to put this information out there for free, not asking for people's money. Because at the end of the day, it's not for money. It's to help people grow. It's to help people grow and prosper and to find their purpose and their higher self and help like raise the vibration of the world.
That's so lovely.
Yeah.
And you know, you will get back for that. It will come back round to you for that. The universe will pay you for that.
Yeah. So, and you're young. You got like you got a whole life. Let's like when it talks about like it's the first year, yes, but in 10 years you're still going to be 10 years older. So you keep doing it because you're going to have a backlog of so much useful information. There's going to be a 10-year-old now who's going to be 20 in like obviously 10 years time, and when they get to that age, they're going to be awakening, and there's nothing better than seeing someone with a backlog of 10 years being established in their field, recognized and acknowledged as that person. They're going to just discover you. So like, you know,
I think that's wonderful, Freya. I think that's such a meaningful thing to have, and like it's like part of your legacy, isn't it? And I just think that I you know, good for you. I love that.
And I think mainly sorry to cut you off there.
Sorry.
I think mainly it came from like my upbringing. So like I am Indigenous, but like we never talked about like our culture. We never talked about our feelings, and it's just like from my mom's generation and her generation and her generation, it's just stuff that wasn't talked about. So, and I think now with the change of the world, like people are talking about culture and emotions and everything a lot more. So it's just kind of having a voice now that I didn't have as a child.
Yeah, I love that. Do you practice like, you know, tuning into your chakras? Because I didn't know this, but I've got a very strong voice, powerful voice. Yeah, no, we're going on like a convo now, innit? Just I had this blocked chakra, which was my throat chakra, and I could only unlock it through yoga, and I didn't really want to do yoga. Like, you know, when you just because this is the truth, the mindset, the ignorance, the past self, like because I don't care what anyone says. Rebirth is a great feeling. It's a great feeling. It's like, okay, that chapter of life has closed. What's next? Okay, that chapter, you know what I'm saying? So all these different chapters. And a huge part of my spiritual growth was actually having the confidence in speaking your truth.
Yeah.
Because I'd built this character, this ego that served me. It protected me in the chapter I was in. But when you want to move into your next place, that person can't come with, because it requires a new version of you. So anyway, chakra alignment is like so important to connect to your higher self. So people develop physical pain in certain areas of their body, and I didn't even know I had it, but I had a real blocked throat chakra, which is crazy because I talk for England. You get me on a stage, I'll keep talking, and people will be like, well, that's impossible. How can you keep talking if you have a blocked throat chakra? But it wasn't my physical, it was my spiritual. I was very shy spiritually. I had a higher self, and this person's like constantly with me saying, you know what you're supposed to say. And I'm like, but I can't, look who's around. And it's
Did
literally
you say
saying,
shy?
yeah, honestly, Liz, yeah. Like, so I would say what I thought people wanted to hear rather than what I'm supposed to say. Do you know what I mean? I'm supposed to say what I'm supposed to say.
Speak your truth.
Yeah, for real.
Speak your truth.
Yeah, so it was like a spiritual block. Then someone said it's because your throat chakra's blocked. So I went to my shaman and they helped me unlock it. And I had to do a bit of yoga. There was a lot of like,
and here we are. He's speaking to the world.
Totally.
Yeah. No, I actually took a Reiki course too. So I am a master Reiki practitioner. So I do that in my work as well. And like, it's kind of gotten to the point where like I go into work and like my coworker last year, like her throat chakra was so blocked. She had like laryngitis. She kept getting tested for COVID. It was negative. And I went in one day, I'm like, you need to work on your throat chakra. And I told her what to do. Like 2 weeks later, she came back. She's like, I feel so much better. Like, thank you. Like, cause she didn't know either. Exactly. And like our chakras like affect us so much. And that's something too, that's like never been taught. Like, how are you supposed to know that like you're having gut issues because of your solar plexus chakra, or you're having like talking issues because of your throat chakra, or you're having headaches right here because of your third eye chakra? Like there's so much that goes into spiritual healing and making sure you're aligned.
We had a guest on the show not too long ago, actually just before the end of last year, called Faye. Funny enough, I know Freya and Faye, but you're not Faye, you're Freya. But yeah, we had we had Faye on the show, and she is a human design. She looks into human design, which was like, for me, Liz and Michael, maybe not so much Michael, but for me and Liz, we were like jaws on the floor, you know what we're like. And Michael was like very skeptical, because he's just like, well, you know, it's just like a horoscope, really. You're going to tell me what I'm supposed to be, and I'm just going to believe you. But because I believe you, it's like placebo, isn't it? It's like, I want to believe it. I want to believe it. And I do believe it. I believe in like energy, star signs. I do believe in solar power, like the whole moon and the sun and the balance, the masculine energy, the feminine energy. I do believe there's a balance in everything. Like you talked about the ecosystem.
Yep.
But yeah, so human design wise, and a lot of people, they don't want to believe it because it's sometimes hard to grasp things you can't see.
Yeah. Well, and too, when you're taught a certain way, it's hard to think outside the box, and it's hard.
That's what I was then going to say.
Telling you this, you're like, well, no, like, but even so, like, even like with health issues, like you can heal your gut issues with Reiki, but people don't want to believe that. They rather go to a doctor and get medication or all that type of stuff, right?
For real, yeah.
Because that's what we're taught and we're conditioned to believe. That's
exactly
why anything that kind of isn't within our conditioning, we think is strange or odd, or, oh, we shouldn't do that, it doesn't make sense, or because we don't know about it, we don't trust it, you know. And I think that you know, I think if we all learn from a young age things like meditation, things like about our chakras, you know, and about how food can be our medicine, I think there would be a whole lot less health issues, mental health issues in the world. I think that the next generation would be so much more spiritually aligned, and I think that would do so much good for the world. I really do.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it goes into like your school systems and what they're teaching you in schools. And it's like, I had to get out of college to learn this, when it's like, to learn about your chakras, like, and I knew what they were. Like, it's not like I didn't know anything about them. People have talked about them, but I didn't really start researching it till I was in my 20s. And like, if kids were taught this at a young age, it's kind of programmed into their brain and their thinking to be like, okay, like this is actually a thing, not like it's hokey dokey, I don't believe it, because that's what it's kind of been portrayed as for years.
Yeah, for real. And even in Disney films, right? Excuse me, but you know, oh God, I forget the exact thing. It might have been Snow White or something, but there's like a scene where like one of the witches, or there's only one witch in Snow White, it could be that, anyway, she goes to her shelf where she's got all of her books, and one of the books that's in like witchcraft, magic, one of the books is astrology. And you know, people who are spiritual understand that, yes, astrology is a form of sorcery, but it's not a negative thing. Don't look at it like you're trying to do like dark voodoo crap. It ain't like that. It's more, it's empowering for you to understand that, you know what I'm saying? And that
but that's why they have to make it a negative, because if everybody on the earth was empowered, there would be nobody in power, because we'd all be empowered ourselves. Take back the power to the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Michael, do you have any comments? Just anyone watching that's
well, there has been a couple. It's just you was in such a flow, I didn't want to get into it.
No, I appreciate it.
But yeah, it was about time. Luke was talking about time.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
Michael, Liz, do you have any questions for Freya? Like, she's here now, she's with us. Anything at all? Liz, you're muted. I don't know how.
Sorry.
You're right. Your throat chakra, Liz. Like, you've got to open up your throat.
So like when you when somebody comes to you to ask for your help, or you know, the healing, do you what is the process of what you do with your work on them, like
on them? So right now I'm just doing it on friends and family. Just because the pandemic, and then trying to find a spot and everything, that's what I'm working towards. But it's mainly just friends and family right now. So I kind of just let them vent to me, honestly. And then I'm able to kind of pick up on what they need. Yeah. So like, I'm just a helping ear, like vent to me, and then I can help you in different ways. I'm not going to tell them like, you need this, this, and this, but I can I'll guide them, or like, hey, we need to do a cord cutting on you, or we need to do some Reiki on you, or get this candle and do this, and just kind of guide them. In the future, I do want to have like a place where people come to see me and stuff, but just with right now where I am in my career, I'm not quite there yet.
But so I absolutely love that
out my friends and family.
But I absolutely love that you're blogging, and I love that you're TikToking, and I love that you're YouTubing as well, because that's the world we live in now. You've got so much exposure. Yes. Yeah. Like I wouldn't have found you had it not been for TikTok, and I'm so glad that I did, because honestly, your YouTube video and even that TikTok, that one viral, and that was just like it just made so much sense. And not just to me, like this, it's a big video, isn't it? It's going around, and everyone's like, what you've done in that video has woke so many minds up into actually acknowledging that, yeah, just because I've been taught to have to accept this one like option of 12 months and however many messed up days, there is actually an alternative. And it's quite obvious with the way you explain it. It's like, it is quite obvious. Like, how did I not see that? How did I not, you know what I mean? So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Exactly.
100%.
And then in the comments too, like I've been reading them and stuff, and like people want me to elaborate more. So I am going to do more research and kind of do more like a series on that going forward, and then just kind of taking that and just running with it, because I think you get a lot from your viewers and the people that follow you of what they kind of want to know. And that's the same with my blog, is I just like research stuff and then I put stuff out there. So like I would go into like Facebook pages and I would just read what people are wanting to know, and then I just put that content out there. So there's definitely going to be more videos to come, and this is definitely just the start of it.
I know it takes you a while to do it, but me, I really like the YouTube video. I like the spiritual dance. I like the hooping, the stuff. So I know that you did a lot of editing. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's not
well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And if I ever come back to Canada and visit again, I will definitely look you up and
that'd be
see
awesome.
you. But it will definitely not be when it's -50. No, it's
No,
gonna
come
be
in the
when it's
summer.
sunny.
Summers are good.
We'll go to the forest.
Yes. That'd be awesome.
Amazing. I love it. Michael, you want to say anything, or you're being real polite tonight?
Yeah. I don't want to
You've
put any
been so
negativity
quiet,
into it,
Michael.
so.
Isn't it?
No, tell us what you think. It's
Well,
good to know. It's balances
I'm
it
open
out.
to people being spiritual and getting into nature,
Yeah.
but I like science. I don't really like going out into nature. I like my mind when I go to a quiet place is just like boom.
Yeah.
So I like being in the urban. I like things. I like, even if I had loads of money, I still live in a town. So yeah. So I like people doing it to better themselves. It's just I personally don't go for it.
Yes, and this is another thing about the elite thinking club, right? And this is what I actually love, Michael, because when I get caught up in mine, I think everyone's same as me, but we're not. Do you know what I mean? Which actually is something that I'm going to highlight on the next episode, because we're going to be talking about differences in the masses, right? So Freya, trust me when I say this, right? I am on what you're saying. I believe in the mass awakening. I do believe everyone needs to be tapping into their spiritual selves, higher selves, and doing more to connect, to that you're more than just the robot. But at the same time, Michael, I'm the same as well. I can't be alone. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to be alone, but I don't like being lonely. And I need, like, I do like the concrete jungle. When we was in Afghan, flipping hell, man, did I miss my car? Yes, I missed my car. Like, it's, you know what I mean? I missed what the concrete jungle can give me. Is it, and I'm a bit of a gamer as well, to be fair. And like, NFTs, which, the new crypto
Michael,
stuff. If you're, guys, sorry, let's cut you in, but remember, Elite Thinking Club NFTs, they're going to be released soon. So please pay attention to that. Get yourself one
they are amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah, so check us out on Instagram and follow us, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Liz, sorry, real quick.
That's okay. Michael, I was just going to say, like, you feel more aligned with all of that.
Madness.
Yeah, whereas like I feel more aligned when it's like when I'm next to the sea or in the forest, like,
who knows? Michael, you're a light worker, yeah, but you may have to connect with people online. There'll be other people who feed off your light that way.
That's your alignment. That's
Definitely.
your way of doing it. Yeah.
But it's not even about you right now, Michael. Be quiet. Freya, thank you. Freya, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the episode. Is there anything that you would like to say to like leave our audience with and your audience with? And guys, make sure you're following Freya. See her on the YouTube. Come on.
Honestly, just stay tuned because I have a lot of ideas that's going to be coming into fruition once it's nicer out here.
I love that.
A lot more hoop videos.
Yes, I look forward to that. Freya Faery, thank you so much for being a special guest on the Elite Thinking Club.
Thanks for having me.
We're so grateful for that. Like, you are an awesome guest, and I love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Support Freya, find her on the YouTube, on the Instagram, on the TikTok, and watch her videos and comment, because she obviously does pay attention to the comments as well. So
thanks for putting everything out there into the world, Freya. We need it. Yeah,
for real. You're very valued.
Yes. And it's been an honor having you on the show.
Yeah, it's been really nice talking and chit-chatting with you guys.
Well, maybe we can check in like a year's time.
I felt like Oprah. Did you hear that? It's been great having you on the show.
Maybe we can check you in a year's time and see how it's going. Yeah. Just check in with us.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Oh, man. Right. Well, guys, thank you for watching. We really appreciate you. So everyone everywhere, from the Elite Thinking Club, from Freya, from Michael, Liz, and myself, peace and love.
See you.